What's up, guys? This is Ralph, and welcome back to the WalaPod. You know, the unknown can be scary. It can let your mind conjure up possibilities and let your imagination run wild. The unknown can be scarier than a clown convention at midnight. But do you know what's even scarier? Unearthing the truth when you've been living in blissful ignorance. It's like realizing your favorite conspiracy theory is your reality. So, sit back and relax and enjoy this episode of the WalaPod, called The Night Neighbors.
I've always had a job where I worked the graveyard shift. They had paid me a little more money, and of course, I never had to deal with people. It's not that I don't like people, they can be a little strange, you know. I guess that's why I live in the middle of nowhere. My house is on some old farmland near the Air Force Base, just outside of Phoenix. Luke Air Force Base is known for some weird stuff.
Take me to your leader! Take me to your leader!
You always hear reports about some strange lights in the sky, but most of the time it's just jets doing their training stuff. I always head out to work just before dusk and I get back home just before dawn. The perks of working nights are that the roads are always clear. No traffic. None at all. I could find myself as the only person driving for miles. I would turn on the tunes and just zone out. My job was in the city, about a good hour's drive. And to be honest with you, I enjoyed that time. I would sometimes turn the radio off and just enjoy that silence. The truck running and the wheels spinning can be very, very soothing. My wife and I just had kids, so the house was always kind of loud. I found my time in the truck to be quite nice, actually. Sometimes I'd daydream about those lights, hoping to see something out of Star Wars, you know. I'd glance up at the sky, but I never see anything weird up there at all. I'm not so sure I believe in UFOs, but I do believe in weird people down here. There was this strange house I used to always pass. It was far, far away from my house, but still close enough I could see it from my front porch. It was way on the other side of the field, probably like a half mile away. I never saw anyone there, and I never saw any cars parked there either. It had these security shutters all around the windows, and they never opened them. The only reason I knew somebody lived there was because the porch lights would come on at night. I would always try and scare my wife and say that vampires live there. That's why they need shutters, to block the light out.
What we need today is young bloods and brains.
And they don't need a car because they can fly anywhere they need to go. She did not believe any of my whoppers. So that was my route at the time. I'd get in the truck, go to work, and drive back home. Get in the truck, go to work, and drive back home. Get in the truck, go to work, and drive back home. Until one night, the routine changed. I was going home when I came across that house, but this time, the windows were open. I was like, holy crap, the vampires are awake. I quickly pulled over and turned off my truck. I was down the street, so they couldn't see me. I rolled down the window and I pulled out my phone. I wanted to take a picture to prove to my wife that somebody lived there. I was zooming in when the front door opened. Out walked a group of people wearing these brown robes. At first I was a little startled by this. My heart started to pound. I was trying to understand what I was watching. Was it a cult? Or heck, were these really vampires? I was kind of stuck watching them, you know. They all gathered around in a circle and did this strange thing. They pulled out these bright-colored sticks. Heck, there were toy lightsabers from Star Wars. I had to laugh. They weren't vampires, they were just a bunch of nerds dressed like Jedis. It must have been some kind of a club or something, because they started fighting and practicing their swords. But then they all stopped. They were looking at me, looking at them. All of a sudden the lights went off, even the porch light. It was pitch dark. I was like, oh man, I have a bad feeling about this. So I jumped back in the truck and peeled off. I looked back and I couldn't see anything. The thing is, I got out safe. But I made one big mistake. I turned my headlights back on. You see, if I can see their house from my front porch, they could sure see my house from their front porch. And stupid me, I had the headlights on. It was like pointing an arrow to where I lived. When I got inside, I thought I brought home a fun story. But what I brought home was a lot more than that. I was taking off my boots on the couch when the doorbell rang. Have you ever heard a doorbell in the dead of night when everyone should be asleep? It's the creepiest thing. I looked over at the window and I could see blue, green, and red lights coming from behind the curtains. They were all gathered around my house. I could also hear the sounds of these toys humming. My heart dropped. Then the doorbell rang again. It woke my wife, and she was like, "Who is here this late?" "Shh," I said quietly. The doorbell rang again. This time the baby started crying, and my wife rushed off to her. I was really scared, so I blurted out, "Hey man, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to disturb your party. I like Star Wars too." Then the lights went off, and they left. I didn't even dare look outside that window. Finally, my wife comes back out with the baby and asks, "What was that all about?" I turned to her and said, "I don't know, but I officially hate people, and I officially hate Star Wars too."
Danny, I appreciate you sharing this story with us. But I don't care if you're an alien or Bigfoot, it's undeniable everybody loves Star Wars. So let's forget any past disagreements and part ways. Until we meet again, this is Ralph, and thank you for listening to the WalaPod.